Chapter 1. The Revealing. Nestled between verdant forests and undulating hills in the peaceful hamlet of Millville, there stood a home that had long cast a menacing shadow over the surrounding area. The elaborate facade of the old Victorian home has been neglected and eroded over time. Locals called it the Hollowbourne House, and word of its eerie reputation spread widely. The home had lain empty and neglected for years, allowing it to deteriorate while whispers of evil powers circulated across the community. It was rumored that the attic, shielded from prying eyes, housed terrible mysteries that nobody dared to investigate. That was about to change, though. Rebecca Stanton was captivated by the stories surrounding the Hollowbourne House as an adventurous journalist with a voracious taste for the macabre. She'd heard tales of spectral figures, strange noises in the night, and shadows that seemed to move through the tiny, dusty windows of the attic. Rebecca rented the estate and established her headquarters on the first floor, determined to find the truth and maybe win a Pulitzer Prize. The area had long since lost its majesty, leaving a feeling of degradation and despair in its wake. Rebecca made the decision to explore the attic on her first night at the Hollowbourne House, while the moon hung low in the pitch-black sky. With only a poorly lighted flashlight and unwavering determination, she climbed the rickety stairs, the wood squeaking under her boots. The door to the attic was bloated with age and neglect and heavy. She opened it and her senses were filled with a musty smell. The inside was completely black. She lifted the lamp, illuminating the mysteries of the attic with a weak glimmer. The room was large and crammed with ancient artifacts from the past, including broken porcelain dolls staring blankly from their shattered frames, antique furniture covered in ragged sheets and neglected trunks with yellowed letters. Rebecca's eye was drawn to the far corner of the attic, though. She noticed it there, in the shadows, an elaborate full-length mirror with a veil eaten away by moths. With its delicate frame unaffected by the passage of time, it stood in sharp contrast to the surrounding ruin. Rebecca walked nervously up to the mirror and took off the veil. Something about the way her mirror gazed back at her seemed disturbing. The picture appeared to flit, as though it were the reflection of someone else rather than her own, a gloomy, dark twin peering through the glass. She extended her hand to touch the mirror's surface, only to feel the cold, unforgiving glass. At that moment, she saw a soft, ghostly murmur coming from the depths of the glass. It said, "Rebecca," in a voice heavy with long-forgotten grief. She moved back, startled and uneasy, her heart thumping in her chest. The voice in the mirror became louder, echoing her name like a menacing chant. It was pulling her in, dragging her in as though it was the key to some mysterious and dark realm that waited beyond. The shadows in the attic appeared to come to life, their shapes morphing and changing as though they were drawn to the sinister call of the mirror as well. Rebecca realized that she had discovered something far worse than she had ever dreamed of, and that her adventure into the Hollowbourne House's darkness was far from over. Rebecca was standing in the attic at the end of Chapter 1, her flashlight illuminating the mysterious mirror that appeared to be hiding a sinister secret. She was completely frightened by the murmurs coming from the mirror, and now she was about to solve a sinister mystery that would put her bravery and sanity to the test. Chapter 2. The Unsettling Sounds. That night, Rebecca had restless nightmares and had trouble falling asleep. Dreams of dark, distorted shapes danced in her sleep-deprived head. Her mind was filled with the eerie murmurs emanating from the attic mirror, causing her to become restless and confused. Rebecca came back to the attic at first light, determined to solve the riddles that had arisen at the Hollowbourne House. The dusty artifacts and the elaborate mirror that had caught her eye were visible through the tiny, dirty windows as the early light streamed in. The mirror surface shook with an unearthly intensity as she got closer. Her mirror looked back at her, but there was something menacing about the way its eyes gleamed, like a twin hiding behind the glass. "Rebecca," the mirror whispered once more, this time with greater persistence. Its magnetic draw drew her closer. Rebecca felt a rush of energy go through her as she extended her fingertips to the cool mirror's surface. Her eyes flickered with visions of the Hollowbourne House in its heyday, of a happy family that had fallen into darkness and misery. Her eyes met the tortured features of the Hollowbourne family, the mansion's previous proprietors. The mirror attempted to depict their terrible narrative, which was one of obsession, esoteric ceremonies, and a deal struck with evil powers in return for authority. The Hollowbourne family's fixation with the mirror, which they thought contained the secret to limitless power and immortality, had contributed to their spiral into madness. They'd performed gloomy rites in the attic, reaching into the black beyond via the mirror. However, their aspirations had cost them dearly. Their souls were taken by the evil forces from the other side, who then cursed the reflection in the glass and bound them to it forever. The mirror had turned into a haven, a portal to another world of evil that tried to trap the living. Rebecca realized how serious the information she had found was. The mirror served as a malicious entryway, leading to a world filled with resentful ghosts. The narrative of the cursed mirror was deeply entwined with the horrific past of Hollowbourne House. She felt a wave of fear come over her as she turned away from the mirror. She was aware that in order to free the Hollowbourne family from the curse that kept them trapped in the mirror's reflection, she would need to learn more about their terrible past. It appeared that the key to discovering the dark mysteries of the estate and the evil entities that inhabited it was in the attic. Rebecca's determination increased as she descended more into the shadows, despite the eerie murmurs from the mirror that kept calling her to descend into a terrifying chasm. As Chapter 2 came to a close, Rebecca had come to terms with the extent of the curse afflicting the Hollowbourne house, and was resolved to learn the truth about the mirror's evil abilities. After catching a glimpse of the terrible past of the Hollowbourne family, she decided to confront the vengeful spirits that were hidden within the cursed mirror, which made her mission to remove the curse even more dangerous. Chapter 3: The Unsettling Decline. Rebecca became engrossed in the history of the Hollowbourne family and their unfortunate interactions with the evil mirror as a result of her unwavering search for the truth. Her haven had turned into a source of both fear and anxiety as she combed through old files, journals, and letters that former occupants had left behind. During her investigation, she came upon the name of the family patriarch, Ezekiel Hollowbourne, whose fixation on the mirror had precipitated their demise. His writings, which described the rites he had performed and the beings he had called forth from the gloomy world beyond, betrayed a preoccupation that verged on lunacy. According to Ezekiel's chronicles, there is a book that is banned called the Codex of Shadows. It was supposed to have the rites and incantations required to tame the energies of the evil spirits and tie them to the mirror. It was thought that the Codex, a sinister artifact that had the secret to lifting the curse, was stashed somewhere inside the estate. Rebecca, full with determination, searched all the obscure corners of the estate for any information that may lead her to the whereabouts of the Codex. Her investigation led her to hidden passageways and forgotten, dusty chambers that each revealed a piece of the Hollowbourne family's tragic past. She was exploring the deteriorating library of the estate one evening when her fingertips brushed over an elaborate bookcase that appeared to give to her touch. A hidden compartment with walls covered in antiquated books and manuscripts was revealed as the bookshelf swung open. It was the Codex of Shadows that Rebecca had been looking for among the dusty volumes. She was shivered to her core by the handwritten incantations that filled its pages and covered in enigmatic symbols encased in leather. Hopefully, the Codex would hold the secret to releasing the curse and using the evil powers of the mirror. Rebecca understood that she needed to continue cautiously, since the rites in the book were dangerous and required sacrifices that may have unfathomable consequences. Studying the Codex, Rebecca came to the conclusion that in order to face the evil forces that were hiding behind the mirror, she would need to recruit the assistance of others. She contacted Dr. Samuel Thornton, a prominent local historian with a reputation for being knowledgeable on the paranormal and occult. Dr. Thornton said he would help Rebecca with her search after seeing the strange happenings at the Hollowbourne house, and his initial skepticism turned to curiosity. Together, they combed over the old pages of the Codex, figuring out the rites and getting ready for the risky task that was ahead. Rebecca and Dr. Thornton set off on a terrifying adventure into the center of the curse that beset the home, using the Codex as their guide. Their inquiry centered on the attic with its evil mirror, a location where the ghosts of the Hollowbourne family awaited their release and where the shadows met. Rebecca knew that the last struggle with the shadows in the attic was coming as they were ready to carry out the rituals that would face the evil powers. The voices from the cursed mirror grew increasingly sinister, and the ghosts inside it yearned to be freed. The Hollowbourne House's darkest secrets were about to come to light. As the third chapter came to an end, Rebecca and Dr. Thornton were about to engage in a dangerous showdown with the evil spirits that were housed within the cursed mirror. The answer to their efforts lay in the Codex of Shadows, but the rites they were about to perform would put their bravery and sanity to the test as they attempted to lift the long-standing curse that connected the Hollowbourne family to the evil mirror. Chapter 4. The Shadows Are Revealed. The malicious mirror at the middle of the Hollowbourne House's attic emanated a sense of sinister power, transforming the space into an unsettling sight of expectation. After deciphering the rituals from the
Codex of Shadows, Rebecca and Dr. Samuel Thornton were more determined than ever to face the evil powers. It was time to perform the rites because the spirits inside the cursed mirror could not be held any longer. The attic's shadows had become restless, their motions more noticeable and their murmurs more ominous. Dr. Thornton and Rebecca stood in front of the mirror, breathing heavily in the chilly attic air. Their voices quivering, they called out to the evil spirits to come forward as they chanted the spells from the Codex. The mirror's surface rippled and twisted as the ceremonies went on, resembling a chaotic sea of blackness. An unearthly force appeared to pulse through the room, and the attic's shadows began to take shape around them. The Hollowbourne family's ghosts came to life, their eyes empty and lifeless, their features contorted with agony. With phantom hands that were
frantically grasping at the air to be released, they stretched out for Rebecca and Dr. Thornton. They were now able to face the evil spirit thanks to the Codex of Shadows, but the ceremonies were extremely expensive. The curse was pressing down on Rebecca and Dr. Thornton as they performed the last spell. With a chorus of agonized cries, the evil spirits inside the mirror twisted and vanished like smoke in the breeze. The space shook, and the attic's shadows appeared to recede more into the depths of the mirror. The curse was broken with one last great roar. Glass fragments broke off from the surface of the mirror, shattering into 1,000 pieces, and the Hollowbourne family's souls were freed from their agony. Their phantom shapes rose to a peaceful realm, and a calm, ethereal chorus took the place of their agonized cries. Dr. Thornton and Rebecca were exhausted and felt their task had been accomplished. The Hollowbourne house was at last free of the shadows that had followed it for so long. The evil mirror had vanished. The curse seemed to be lessening as they emerged from the attic, and the mansion itself appeared to sigh with relief. The sound of evil murmurs ceased, and an unsettling quiet that suggested a restored tranquility took its place. The once dreadful and hopeless Hollowbourne house has been turned into a haven, with its sinister past finally laid to rest. Though Rebecca and Dr. Thornton had endured unspeakable sufferings, they had succeeded in chasing the darkness away and providing comfort to the troubled spirits who had been suffering for a long time inside the cursed mirror. The dreadful house was no longer haunted by the tormented murmurs of the shadows in the attic, since they